What if I told you that in the heart of America there once stood a place so prosperous, so alive with hope, that it was called Black Wall Street? It was not New York, not Chicago, but Greenwood, a district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where African Americans, despite the shadows of segregation, built banks, businesses, theaters, and homes that shone like a beacon of progress. Imagine walking through its streets in 1921, hearing the laughter of families, the music spilling from clubs, the smell of food from thriving restaurants, and the pride of a people who had carved success out of a nation that tried to deny them everything. But beneath that success simmered envy, resentment, and hatred. In a city where white citizens looked on with suspicion, the prosperity of Black Wall Street became a target, a symbol that too many refused to accept. And then, as history often unfolds, it took just one spark to ignite the fire. On May 30, 1921, a young black man named Dick Rowland entered an elevator. And inside was a white elevator operator, Sarah Page. What happened inside remains uncertain, perhaps a stumble. Perhaps nothing at all, but by the time Rowland stepped back into the streets, whispers had already begun. By the next day, those whispers grew into accusations, and accusations into headlines of assault. The Tulsa Tribune ran a story that fanned the flames of racial tension, and a white mob began to form outside the courthouse where Rowland was held. But the black community, fearful of a lynching, refused to stand by. Armed men from Greenwood marched to the courthouse to defend Rowland, insisting that justice could not be another rope hanging from a tree. And in that tense standoff, a single shot rang out. No one knows who fired it first, but in that instant, chaos erupted. Gunfire split the night, panic tore through the streets, and the first sparks of violence spread. What followed was not simply a riot, it was a massacre. White mobs, some deputized and armed by local authorities, stormed into Greenwood with fury. They looted homes and businesses. They burned churches. They shot men, women, and children who tried to flee. Survivors would later recall the sound of machine guns, the crush of footsteps, and the blaze of fire consuming everything they had built. And then, something almost unimaginable. Airplanes flew overhead, dropping incendiary bombs on Greenwood. For the first time in American history, a community was bombed from the skies by its own citizens. Within hours, Black Wall Street was burning. Flames reached high into the Oklahoma sky, blotting out the stars, while smoke carried the scent of loss across the city. Families ran into the night, clutching what little they could carry, as buildings collapsed behind them. Doctors were shot while tending to the wounded. Children torn from their parents, and prisoners marched into internment camps instead of to safety. By dawn, Greenwood lay in ruins. Over 1,200 homes were destroyed, dozens of businesses erased, and the death toll, though never fully recorded, likely numbered in the hundreds. Some bodies were buried in unmarked graves, others tossed into rivers, as if erasing the evidence could erase the crime. And yet, perhaps, the greatest crime of all came not from the fire nor the bullets, but from the silence that followed. For decades, the Tulsa Race Massacre was not taught in schools. The newspapers that had incited violence denied it ever happened. Survivors who spoke out were dismissed, and official records vanished, as if history itself conspired to bury the truth. An entire generation grew up, never knowing that America had once burned one of its own brightest communities to the ground. But survivors remembered, they told their children, their grandchildren, and through whispers and fragile testimonies, the truth endured. Men like Otis Clark, who lived to be over 100 years old, carried the memory of that night until their dying breath. And slowly, After decades of silence, the story began to resurface. In the late 20th century, historians and activists dug into the archives, interviewed survivors, and demanded that Tulsa's secret be spoken aloud. In 1996, on the 75th anniversary, the Tulsa Race Riot Commission was formed to investigate. They found mass graves, they uncovered testimonies long ignored, and they forced America to confront what it had tried to forget. Today, the ruins of Black Wall Street are gone, but its memory has risen again. The Greenwood District stands not as it once was, but as a symbol of resilience. Museums and memorials tell the story. Schools now teach what was once erased. And America, though late, has begun to reckon with the truth. But the echoes of Tulsa remain. The massacre was not just about the destruction of buildings, it was about the destruction of dreams. The theft of wealth, the silencing of voices that dared to rise. It was about fear, power, and the lengths to which hate will go to snuff out hope. And so we remember. We remember Black Wall Street not only for how it died, but for how it lived. We remember its music, its businesses, its joy, and its unshakable proof that even in the harshest soil, greatness can bloom. We remember the flames, so that we might never again allow envy and hate to set fire to justice. And we remember Tulsa because history is not just about the victories, it is about the wounds we carry, the scars we inherit, and the truths we must confront. The night Black Wall Street burned is a story America tried to bury. But truth, like fire, cannot be hidden forever. If you believe history must be remembered, share this story, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more untold truths they never taught us in school.